So good to have you here. Today we will have a few sessions related to some maybe a bit more practical issues after we have gone through earlier this week the program objectives of the new program. I will be talking now about partnership and work plan, and this will be followed by colleagues' presentations regarding budget-related issues, and then to conclude the day we will also have a short tips session where we will go through some issues that you definitely need to consider. I wouldn't say that these issues that have been handled all week would be any less important, but maybe to take up some of the most important things to remember when going forward towards the first call. You can see here still our program area, which is one important thing to know. So memorize that, and in the meanwhile I will just say that there is of course a possibility to ask questions from us regarding these issues. In this presentation I think I will first go through the issues regarding the partnership, and then we will have possibility for questions, and then moving on to the work plan and another possibility for questions also after that. And as I said, write please your questions to the chat, and the colleagues will pick them up, and we will try our best to give you a good answer to those questions. Also good to know that this presentation, as well as the other presentations that you have maybe seen throughout the week, and also the coming ones, will be available for you next week on our centralbaltic.eu website. So please go back there and check, and I would think you will also receive some information to your mailbox when they will be available. And also this presentation, as well as the others, will be recorded, and the recordings will also be available for you to get to know things and to memorize things and get back to the important things, or maybe things that you forgot or didn't have the time to note down. So information will be available. But I will start with the partnership issues, and I will go through this part first, and then we will have, like I said, the possibility for questions. I think we have reserved quite good time for questions, so please use this opportunity to ask whatever is on your mind. As they say, there are no stupid questions at this point, or at any point for that matter. Well, let's start with how do you approach the whole concept of a partnership. Of course, when you start looking for partners, you obviously already have some kind of an idea of a project or of a topic. So this is maybe the first thing to think, what kind of organizations could possibly be interested in your topic. We are all the time talking about joint thinking, joint doing, but still always it's some individual or some organization that originally comes up with the idea first. So they should definitely think about these issues. And if your organization has been involved in projects already previously, you might have some existing contacts regarding this topic of yours, and then those could be utilized also for the coming potential cooperation. But I would also very much like to encourage you to be open for new partners, new organizations, and do some mapping activities, and don't just by default be satisfied with the existing partnership. Because the topics change, you need different expertise for different things. So please consider these things. I think the most important thing here would be time. You should have good time for getting in touch with partners, new organizations especially, building trust with them, discussing, talking to them, presenting your idea and giving them the opportunity to contribute and digest and all these kind of things. This is of course a bit more difficult, especially with new organizations in the current world and the COVID situation. But luckily there are still good tools to get in touch and be in touch and discuss things. So utilize those also widely. But time is of essence here, I would say. So take time, give time, and discuss with your potential partners and build the partnership. I think that's a good word to describe it. And I would also begin by of course presenting the project idea and especially presenting the framework, not to go forward with the ready-made concept with already some detailed activities, because this tends not to give the flexibility to the partners to bring in their contribution. So at a very early stage, take your idea up and discuss, and then continue building together, and not looking for partners to fit into some pre-written role, which you have maybe already described by activity, but start early here as well, and start with the idea and work your way through from there. A bit of the same thing. Leave room for the joint planning. Be open for proposal. Don't be very stuck with your initial idea or vision, but let others also have an effect on the way the things are developing and the way that they are planned to be done in the future. Then if you get financing for your project. I think these are important things, and if you follow these, then I would say that you have a very high likelihood of achieving a committed partnership, which is then, of course, very important regarding the actual project implementation. What do you need then? Technically, to be a project in a Central Baltic program, you have to be cross-border. So you need, first of all, one lead partner and at least one other partner. And if you have two partners, these two partners have to be from at least 2 member states. So the only restriction here is that we don't allow for partnerships between mainland Finland and Åland, although Åland is a separate region and a separate area, but not a member state technically. So this would not be eligible. And you also should note that participation from all member states or Åland is not in any way required. So that doesn't need to be your project goal. That doesn't gain you any extra points in assessment if you have, let's say, four member states or all five areas included in compared with let's say 3. So this is completely fine. And also bilateral projects are allowed. Like I said, 2 partners are enough. And here, of course, there might be overlaps. We have, for example, the Estonia-Latvia program working in the same areas as we are, and we will be in touch with them and checking one another's things so that we are not doing overlapping activities in this bilateral concept. So in case you are planning for bilateral partnership with Estonia-Latvia, then you might also consider the Estonia-Latvia program in addition to Central Baltic program. At least it's good to check always what is on the agenda also elsewhere. Regarding the partner numbers, we don't have a definite recommendation or requirement, but we would say from experience that having more than 10 partners is definitely not recommended. This will bring quite a lot of additional challenges regarding the coordination and following the project activities, also the project administration. This is probably mostly related to the lead partner role. I will talk about that a bit later, but it will become very heavy if there are many partners. So in case you will be at this number 10 or close to 10, then please think and also justify in your mind, and especially if it seems that you will go over this number, then also we would require justification, but I would not definitely recommend to go there. So try to find the right partners for the right roles and have a smaller number of partners. And I have written here, the relevance is the utmost important thing. So partners should always be relevant for the project. So you don't want to have partners which don't really have a role that connects to the project activities or project results. So that is an important thing to remember. Don't bring in partners just for the fun of it, or just to be as bystanders or learners. For that you have then target groups and such things to use. And in the 21-27 program, we will not have anymore the role of associated partner, which we had in the previous program. So there are just lead partners and project partners in this period. No associated partners. Then a little bit more on who can be a partner. I already mentioned relevance, which is the very important thing, and any partner should be relevant, and I would also say should be necessary for achieving the project result. So if a partner doesn't bring contribution to this, then it's a big question mark whether you actually need that partner at all. We are also talking a lot about the capacity of the partners to implement an international project. This can mean many things. I have listed a few here, maybe starting with the necessary skills and motivation. Of course, your people in your organization must be equipped to work in an international environment. First of all, of course, the program works fully in English, so language skills are necessary. And also, of course, the skills related to then the project topic itself. And we like to see motivation, so we also like to see that the participation in a project is somehow connected to the goals of the organization as well. So that really this thing is important not only to you, but to your organization, and your organization is prioritizing participation to these kind of development things. And then I would also bring up the statutory authority and mandate issue. This relates to the project results also very much, and especially the sustainability of the project results. So we would like to see that there are partners in a project who really have the possibility to maintain the project results, maintain the activities, take them into use, and develop maybe them further. So if we see just organizations that can, let's say, make a good plan, then what happens after that would not be enough. We also need the partners who will take this plan into use. So we don't want the project results to be left on the shelf after the project has been implemented, but really we need those partners who will then drive on and keep the project results alive and in use, and to provide additional benefits or the benefits in general to the target groups. Also very important, which I already mentioned, is a clear role of any partner in the project. So no hang-around members, but only relevant organizations. And in this period, we or you can also include partners from EU member states outside of the program area in some justified cases. So this is a possibility, but this always needs to be justified and agreed with the JS before the project is starting to implement and in the application and contracting phases already. And regarding these partners, you should always still remember that the benefits from the project should always land to the Central Baltic region, Central Baltic program area. So if you have partners from outside, then remember this as well. Then there are some eligibility issues regarding the legal status of the partners. For example, we are accepting public authorities and different bodies governed by public law, and also governed maybe by private law when they meet the public equivalent criteria. So they are institutions or organizations which may be technically private, but they work for the common good and don't aim for profit and are not functional in the competitive markets, let's say. We can also, under these two program objectives, accept small and medium-sized enterprises as partners. However, this would be an exception and would also require a very good justification, because obviously we cannot intervene the competitive market with our funding and with our funding bring benefits to single companies in those markets. So these SMEs that would participate, they really need to have unique skills which they would participate with and bring really the contribution and the absolutely necessary contribution to the project as such, because usually these companies are expert services to the projects which are then acquired through public procurement. So that is the main role, I would say, for SMEs as well. We of course want to have financially stable organizations, and this will be checked as well. And the location refers to the fact that the program area would be the main place where these partners would then come from. Then maybe shortly about who cannot be a partner. We are a program for organizations, so individual private persons cannot be partners. Large companies are excluded from being partners, and SMEs, although in exceptional cases they can be partners, but they cannot be lead partners in projects. And then if you have relevant organizations who you think are important for the project, but maybe they don't want to participate, or they fall into some of these criteria, let's say they are a large company who is very relevant for your project topic, but cannot be a partner, then you can consider inviting them into your steering group, for example, project steering group, if they are important, and or have them as target groups, as in the SME case. In many times it happens. So there are different roles possible for different organizations, and you can involve organizations in another ways than being a partner. Then something about the lead partner role. Lead partner is the, as it says, the lead partner and bears the overall responsibility for the project. Lead partner signs the subsidy contract with the managing authority, so is in that way also responsible with their organization's signatory things, and of course responsible also for the whole project in all its phases, planning, involving stakeholders, target groups into the planning phase, and ensuring that there is joint understanding of the project. How will the project be carried out? what is the approach, what will be the results. So everyone is committed and understands these issues. And then, of course, lead partner will coordinate and lead the project. And we in the Joint Secretariat, we communicate all project-related issues through the lead partner. So we have still this so-called lead partner principle, which means that we are in touch with the lead partner, and from there on the information flows then towards the partners. But although the lead partner is very much responsible, the partners are important and they have their responsibilities as well. And they have their own budget, they will bring in their own financial contribution, and they must have an active role in the whole implementation of the project. And should also actively take part in all phases of the project from very start of planning all the way to the finish line. Usually partners have designated own activities which they are responsible for. This comes from the project plan, and they also have to manage their own budget and consider the budgetary rules. And of course, they need to be then in touch with the lead partner. Usually in a joint cross-border project, this happens quite naturally, but this is important to know and remember, that the lead partner needs to be aware of what happens also in the partner organizations and in regarding their activities. And there will be a partnership agreement that we require that will be signed between the partnership, between the lead partner and the other partners. This is good to know as well, and it has been actually in place also during the previous period. Maybe to conclude the partnership side, I would just say that a good partnership is the key to good project implementation, short and simple. And then if we have anything in chat, Merike, would you please bring things up?
Yes. There's one question so far, so keep them coming. But the one question is, how do you define large partner when you said that they are not eligible?
You mean large company?
Oh, yes, guess. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. That was my mistake. I noted it down for myself wrongly. Yes, yeah. Quite right.
This is now actually a thing that I cannot dig out of my memory. What is the actual number? It can relate to the number of employees or turnover related things, but
I can give you
a colleague would give the figures.
I'm also just flicking through the manual, and I cannot find it. I know we have said it in the manual, but maybe we have to come back to this unless someone.
Yeah, maybe we will get back to this and well, you caught us.
I can write it in the chat once I find it from the manual.
That's good. Yeah,
yes.
you caught us with the very first question. Yeah. Anything else? I guess no other questions then at this point. And like Merike said, keep them coming, and we can return to partnership issues also at the very end. So not restricted to this specific thing. But I will move on to the issues related to the project work plan. And just starting by mentioning about...
Sorry, Samu, sorry, yes. Before you get going, may I actually ask, because there's, first of all, I found the place in the manual, and second of all, we have a new question. So maybe...
That's good.
Would it be fine too? Yes.
Yeah,
so I
will take them.
I will say about the large companies. We used to, as our colleague Annika Holmström remembers well, we used to say that it had a reference to more than 250 employees, but that was actually deleted from the current version. So at the moment, we have not defined it in any larger extent. We say large companies simply. So in case you would be in doubt, because indeed there are different ways of categorizing organizations, I would just say be in touch with us and see if this was what kind of was the underlying thinking.
Yes, so that explains also why numbers were not in the memory. So
yeah,
very much I would say case by case thing then, and to be checked in, for example, in consultation.
Yes, and then there was another question, and this one is also good. The question is whether a university can be a lead partner.
Yes, we have no restriction there, I think. So that is fully possible. I would maybe refer to what I said about the statutory mandate or authority and keeping the project results alive. So especially regarding universities, this should be considered, that how can an organization, a university, contribute to this sustainability of results, and of course the role of university as well as any other partner must be always justified. But well, maybe something that we would not like to see is, for example, that the university, which usually are very experienced in projects and good at managing and coordinating projects, especially, we probably wouldn't like to see a university lead partner who doesn't have a role otherwise than just managing the project and coordinating the project. So always universities, but also of course other organizations, they need to be well connected. They need to have a role related to the project results and their sustainability. But the answer, I think, to the original question, simply put, is yes, they can be also lead partners.
Meanwhile, there are more questions coming up, so maybe it's good to take this time. There's also a question now about being a lead partner, and the question is, can an SME be a lead partner?
That is quite clear. I can answer also shortly. That would be a no. SME cannot be a lead partner.
Yes. There's also some discussion now in the chat about the EU definition for SMEs and whether that will be used. So maybe I won't get into detail on that too much. The SME definition for the EU is and was largely relevant in case of de minimis, and we are not applying de minimis at the moment. So that's also why we haven't made any references to this in the program manual. But of course, it is also a good way of seeing what is small, medium-sized, large. So it does give hints, definitely.
Yes, I think so too.
And now I'm not seeing any more questions. So maybe at this stage, I let you continue, and then I will keep any further questions that come from this moment on, I will keep for the next question session. Okay, we will do so. Thank you. And I will continue with the work plan. And I was about to start with a technical issue related to the actual work plan. So as you may have learned in the previous days and presentations, if you have been with us, you know that we will have both regular projects and small projects. And I just wanted to say to start that for the regular projects, the full work plan will only be done in the second step application phase. And for the small projects, it will be done. The full application will be done once and for all. So there is a difference in procedures in this sense. So this is good to know. So when applying for a regular project, you don't need to have the full work plan. Of course, you probably already have a good idea of what you will do, but doesn't need to be on a very detailed level yet. But the work plan in general consists of work packages and activities. I will get to those
in a bit more detail later. And the work package and activities then lead to different kind of deliverables and outputs, and eventually contribute to reaching the project objectives. And the work plan, of course, sets the basis for project implementation, which is the most important part and the biggest part of the project usually. Here also key things are to involve the relevant people in a similar way than I referred in the lead partner and partner roles. Everyone should be involved in compiling the work plan. And also you should think a bit about the other stakeholders, the end users, the target groups. What is it that is needed to make the change? So not just focus on your organization's needs, but think a little bit for whom you are doing this project eventually, the solution or that you develop or the change you will make. Who is it for, and how would you need to address and consider their opinions as well. Broad involvement of partners also. I think it's good to consult the administrative department regarding projects. Different organizations have different practices. And of course, the content experts many times are the most important people in planning the work plan, but other people I think would be needed as well to have the big picture. I try to be realistic, plan a clear plan. You should be focused clearly to certain things in the work plan, but also not to be overly detailed so that you get caught up in the net of to be done things which you have defined in a very, very detailed way. And then when there is something happening, then the house of cards easily starts to fall down and lead to bigger things. So try to find a balance to define the necessary things, focus on certain things, but not to go too much into details. We are not so worried if you don't organize your seminar in October, but it will be organized in January. So those kind of things shouldn't be, for example, too clearly planned. Remember also to think about the risks in your work plan. What if this or that thing doesn't happen? What if you don't get the permit you need to do things? What if a partner drops out? These kind of what if situations, and plan for those as well. What will you do? And what is the plan B on a general level if things happen? Unplanned things happen as well, like this COVID, for example. Projects have needed to adjust greatly to this situation. So something you of course cannot even plan for. And then the important thing of the sustainability of project outputs and results. So plan also for the time after the project. What will happen? Who will maintain your outputs? Who will take care of them? Will it be your organization or will it be someone else? I think about this as well, because like I said, we don't want things to end at the project end date, but that is when the, so to say, the change is finalized and then the change will continue from there. And also quite clear that the quality of planning will absolutely reflect to project implementation. We have seen that in our previous programs, let's say, and also elsewhere. So planning is good planning is half of the implementation already, like they say. This relates to the planning and the big picture. So please consider what is your intervention logic. We have talked about the program intervention logic a lot, what program does, what kind of opportunities we provide to make the change. Now you have to take it one step further to the project level. What is the challenge you are addressing? what kind of objectives you will have in your project, and these reflect to the work plan. These give you results, and your results then contribute to the program results and outputs and objectives, of course. So we don't exist without you projects, and of course without us projects won't have funding. So this is the interdependency that we have. So make sure that you think also these issues a bit. Here I have tried to open up a bit this work package structure that we will have. This is a bit more technical already, but this is how things will appear in our new monitoring system. So you will have work packages which will be divided into several things. You will have objectives, you have the possibility of having investments, you will definitely have activities, you will have communication activities and so to say regular activities, and for activities you will also define deliverables, so what comes out from the activities. And then when you put all the activities plus possible investments together and make them all happen, you will get some kind of an output from this work package. So this output then will contribute to the program output indicator and will be a part of the change you make in the Central Baltic region. So the basic unit of the work plan is a work package like it was on the previous slide, and there should be somehow some kind of a logical entity of activities within the project. And those of you who have been involved in the Central Baltic 1420 program remember that we had different kinds of work packages. We had preparation work package, we had management, we had implementation, investment, communication. Those are all gone now. We will only have one work package, one type of work package in the 21-27 season. And for these work packages, you can of course have several of them. It doesn't mean that you only need to have one work package, but there is just one type of work package. But one work package will have one objective that you will achieve when all the activities in this work package are done. And then the outputs will be also delivered. And you will also need to have a communication objective for the work package, which depends, of course, on your target audience and your topic. And it will also then provide contribution to the achievement of this objective that you have for this work package. As I mentioned, there is a possibility to have investments in these work packages. There will not be a separate investment work package, but investments will be within work packages. We have been talking about small scale investments. That is what we will fund. So we will not fund large infrastructure costs, no big, huge technical projects, but rather small scale, more equipment type investments. I will again refer to the maximum size of projects that we have defined at maximum 4 million euros and a maximum partner budget of 2 million euros. So from there you can also a bit orientate yourself towards what kind of size the investments could be. So let's say some hundreds of thousands, but this very much depends on the relevance and justification of investments. So these always need to be well justified, and they need to have also cross-border added value. So it would not be enough to just have a project based on an investment in one country. this would be more like this teacher-student type of projects, which we don't really want to fund and see, but really joint cross-border cooperation on equal levels. Risks are specifically important regarding investments. What if you cannot make the investment? What if you don't get the necessary permit to make it? What if something else happens? So this is also what we will ask you to elaborate on. What if situations? How will you manage if something is not happening? Then the activities, as I said earlier, there will be so-called regular activities, project activities, and then communication activities separately. They are all, of course, equally important and belong to the project. And activities, of course, they are different types of actions, maybe different types of tasks which you will implement to achieve the work package objectives and outputs. And here it's also important when you are planning, include only the activities which are directly relevant and necessary to achieve the objectives. So don't split into two small parts, or don't have the kind of how would I describe them? Things that do not really contribute. You may ask yourself, is this activity necessary to achieve the project result? I think that's an important question. And if you hesitate to answer yes, then do some more considering. Is it really necessary? Sometimes it's nice, it would be nice to do some additional thing on the side which relates to the project, but really doesn't contribute. So those should be left out from the Central Baltic projects. And of course, a good structure is important, how the activities relate to one another, and they should have links. Things lead to other things, which lead then to results. So consider that as well. Communication activities are important as well. So you should plan for these as well, how you approach your target groups, how you approach if general public is your relevant target group, what means do you use in communication, etc. So these activities also are very important and will contribute in the achievement of your project results. And once again, do not go into too specific details when you define the activities, and combine similar activities to limit the number of separate activities. So if you plan to organize a series of 5 seminars, that doesn't need to be 5 different activities, but it can very well be one activity. So this as just an example, but also consider this so that your work plan will not be too extensive and complicated, and then you will also be able to more easily react on changes and things you need to react on. And one important thing, budget will be discussed a bit later today, but it's very important to make sure that the budget is coherent with the work plan and the activities. So when we are assessing a project application, we will be looking at this. So you need to have an activity which clearly connects to your budget. So there will be, we can see that there are resources for this activity reserved. So we can also see the logic in that way. Then you will also have an output for the work package. Usually, I think there would be one output for a work package, and this will then be the end result of the output. So if you are aiming at making people participate to different things, then you will contribute to an output indicator which calculates these participations And as a result of the activities you have in your work package, you will then reach a certain number of participating people, for example, just as an example, and this will be the output that you will gain. And you will, of course, think about it already beforehand and define some kind of targets for the output as well. And this, of course, should be realistic. You cannot know everything. It has been especially difficult to assess some things exactly related to participations and how to calculate and so on. But also be coherent here and try to make a realistic estimation on what you will achieve. I think this is the final slide regarding the work plan. So I would also here take questions if there are additional ones regarding whatever.
Yes, something is coming through. So there's a question about the nature of investment, and I think the question is whether an ordered analysis of samples would be understood as an investment.
So I guess this sounds more like an external expertise if it relates to some analysis that is ordered from somewhere, made in some laboratory. If you need for the project purposes equipment for your own laboratory, that would be this type of equipment investment that we mean, for example. But I think this sounds more like external expertise then. Is there anything else?
No, not yet. I'm keeping my eyes fixed on the chat in case people are typing, but for the time being, no more questions.
Okay, then we move on. I just have a few concluding slides here, and then I'm done for this. So take your time, put an effort. People are busy, we know. There is not too much time for anything, but I can quite safely assure you that the time put into the planning will come back then in implementation, and let's say in less difficulties in implementation. So take your time for this. Have clear roles for the partners. This is very important. Plan jointly, basically everything, and also remember that while you will be filling in your application form in our GEMS system, it is not meant to be a planning tool as such. So there are tools available for project planning, softwares available, starting from something as simple as Word, but also more sophisticated things that you can use for planning your project. So these texts and Excel tables are still valuable here. So not to use this GEMS system as a planning tool, but rather when you fill in the application form, you already have your plans from which you can just copy paste to the system and then send away. And your own projects or project ideas, intervention logic should be clear, how you move from challenges to implementation to results. And there should be this common thread through your project, which also we can then follow when assessing the project application. And remember the coherence always between the work plan and the budget, but also between different parts of the project. So there is a clear direction in the project, clear steps that you will be taking towards the project goals. Then just to repeat our contact information at the Joint Secretariat. So we are available and eager to see your project ideas on our project idea form, which you also will find from our website. And these are then the contact informations to which you can send those forms and agree with us a more detailed consultation discussion on your idea, where we can then elaborate and provide you with tools to go forward with your planning. Thank you, I would say here from my behalf. If there are any more questions, I think we can definitely still take some. We have some 10 minutes time yet. So Merike, please, if there is anything.
There is a good question. Is it possible to access GEMS already? Unfortunately
not. The system is not open yet. We are ourselves testing it, and if you want to know what GEMS is all about, I would then advise you to go to our website and find the guide for applying for a project. This is made according to the GEMS structure. So from this guidance, you will see each and every question that will be asked from you in the system. But the system as such will only be accessible on the 10th of February when we according to current plans will open the call. But we will give you guidance on that still before that, so you will get glimpses and screenshots at least of the system, so you will know what it looks like. But to go and play with it, unfortunately, is not possible before that.
But then it will be open for, almost 6 weeks. So
yes, until
there will
the end
be
of
ample
March.
time. Yes.
Yes. So it will not just be a short time to copy paste your things, but you can get acquainted and try different things and then continue from there.
And submit in good time.
Submit in good time, yes. That is an important thing, but let's not reveal all our tips yet. Good. If there are no more questions, then I would conclude this session, and then very soon another session will start where my colleague Laura will talk about budget-related issues a bit in more detail. So stay tuned.
Now there is one question coming.
Okay.
I think you will know the answer to this, Samu. Is the program approved by the European Commission already?
It's not approved by the Commission yet. It has been submitted to the Commission, but not approved. So we are eagerly waiting for comments from the Commission so that we can get that thing forward as well. But let's see, that will remain to be seen. But we are on good track with the program as such.
And then follow up, can there be some changes to our program then?
Of course, there can be changes. That's always possible, and I definitely believe there will be comments, and we will need to do something probably based on those Commission comments. But we have also, during the process of building the program, we have consulted with the Commission, and that's why we don't expect any major things to appear anymore that would considerably change the program and its structure. So this is what we believe, at least. Good. Then, as the screen says, thank you, and
no, don't thank them again yet. No, wait. We will give the feedback questionnaire, which I will copy into the chat as we speak. So please go in, and there will be a link, and you can just open it and then fill in on your time between the meetings. So the link should come now.
is it so that you can still leave the meeting once you have clicked the link? So the link will not disappear, or it will open in your browser and will not disappear even if you leave this meeting. So you don't have to stay here during that time when you fill in. So one thing to know. Good, but then I hope you will stay tuned and follow the next presentations as well, and going towards the weekend. Thank you from my behalf.